Hey, what's up, guys? So, kind of jumping on here today, kind of talking about being a natty. Being a natty versus PEDs enhanced. One, let me explain. If you're a natty, great. If you take PEDs, great. It really comes down to your morals and kind of your overall goals. One is not better than the other. One takes a little bit longer, takes a little bit harder work. Other one has both psychological effects as well as kind of making sure that you are on it with blood work, making sure that your goals match the purpose of why you're using it. And so let me go ahead and preference. I don't think taking PEDs is the kind of the end all be all. I think that it really kind of makes you a little bit more competitive if that's your goal, if done the right way. But I know a lot of guys who are on PEDs, and I know a lot of people who are natty and who have better physique than those guys. So you can't just take PEDs and assume that your body's and your life's going to transform for the better. So go ahead and say that. So with that being kind of the start of the video here, what I would like to do is kind of go over the last 6 years of what I've done kind of as a natural, being in the bodybuilding world, being in the powerlifting world, being a personal trainer, being a strength and conditioning coach, and kind of like what I've seen and kind of what I've kind of been involved in. And so being a kind of a lifetime natty, I don't get a reward for it. I don't get this big trophy or statue because I've never went to the dark side. I know a lot of great people who do a lot of great things, but their choices and kind of the decisions they make are not the ones I would make. It comes down to morals, ethics, to each their own. So with that, what we're going to see in the next kind of like few minutes is a series of photos of beginning of my bodybuilding career to current day. So I've not competed in about 2 years now, 2.5 years. We finished out at the Ben Wider's Naturals in DC a couple years ago, placed third in Classic division, but mostly we stayed in the men's physique realm. And you know, all these trophies, all of these kind of small sponsorships throughout the years have been phenomenal, but they have allowed me to understand that bodybuilding is a very quick thing for people to judge you. I mean, you're physically being judged on stage. There's not a lot of understanding of it. I think it's a huge business, but if you're not in the business, if you're not in it to competing, a lot of people outside of that will kind of judge you. Like, what do you mean you put spray tan on? What do you mean that you've got to diet down? And so here we are. Kind of the first video is from 2016, 2017. We're looking at kind of the first glimpse of starting bodybuilding. We didn't compete until 2018, and really learned a lot. Hired a coach, kind of went through the 20 weeks was my first prep, which I think was a lot. Really didn't know what I was getting myself into when it comes to the diet component. We really had to identify what division we wanted to get in, and we ended up choosing men's physique, which for all bodybuilding competitors, for all beginners who are looking to kind of make that jump, I really think that you need to have a foundation set of both nutrition and workout regimens. I think that bodybuilding is not the healthiest way to get healthy, and a lot of you guys may disagree, and that's okay. Being at 6-7% body fat is not the ideal physique to carry around all year, and I think that's one of the fads nowadays is like this leanness. Everybody wants to stay lean year round, and I'm not really sure kind of where that came from, especially like kids who are just kind of dipping their feet into it and dipping their toes into the ideal of bodybuilding. And I think teenagers especially don't need to be on any type of diet due to the fact that your body's growing. You need all these nutrients. You need to eat. You don't need to eat like crazy, right? Like what I'm saying is like processed foods, chips, high sugary sodas. Like whatever it is, like I feel like that if you are serious about your goals and you're serious about your health, one, be a kid, enjoy that time. Two, understand that not a lot of people are going to understand why your goals are the way they are and why you're doing what you need to be doing. And jumping on PEDs should not be the first option. If a coach tells you, to really be competitive, to do this at 16 years old, you need to jump on PEDs, there are a lot of consequences that come with that later down the road. And I think that is kind of the divide of the fitness world. So I've had the opportunity, I've had the chances to take PEDs, and so for me, my morals outweigh the risk of it. Being able to kind of continue to grind out and understand that my workout routines as well as my nutrition have to change. Rather than just eating for survival, we have to eat with a purpose. We have to eat when we're not hungry. We have to make sure our protein intake is there, due to the fact that it's going to be the power block that we kind of use to build. So as the saying goes, brick by brick, right? So protein is the key to, one, fat loss, to be able to promote lean muscle, to build muscle in general, and then to understand that this is what it's going to take for me to get serious about my fitness goals. So what we're seeing here, especially in the next year, we're seeing a huge change in the overall body composition. We went from about 162 pounds to about 182 pounds within a year and a half. And so, the beginner gains is always something that we can definitely appreciate, but eventually that will end up tapering off, and it's going to be harder for you even to add the slightest amount of muscle. And I think that's where the temptation comes in at taking PEDs versus being a natural. It may take you a lot longer to go naturally, but you're not putting chemicals in your body. You're not enhancing things hormonally, where as the PEDs, you're going to get that combination. You're going to get that gratification of the quick gains, the strength, but there's also going to be a few things mentally that we've got to make sure that we check that box, because you're not going to be able to sustain that long term, right? Making sure that you are getting your proper blood work and then meeting with a doctor, especially if you're doing it at a young age. And I think that's kind of where we see YouTube going right now, is a huge, if you're a mass monster, right? Everybody's enjoyed the mass monsters back since Rodney Coleman and all them. But today it's the younger generation, I feel like, is a little bit in trouble, because the temptation's there, and they see that all these guys get more views on YouTube, and they get more kind of likes or shares or sponsorships. And it's a very scary consequence. It's a very scary thought. But for me, and kind of what I say is what people do is their own preference. But just educating yourself on the why and what will happen long term, especially if you are on this. Because one of the things for me, especially that I kind of talked about, is kind of the nutrition aspect of it. Before bodybuilding, definitely didn't really know much about the nutrition. I was never on a diet. Powerlifting, you ate to kind of get big, but you never really fueled kind of your muscles. You really kind of go in and you just lift as much as you can from point A to point B. And so the mindset for me is that I needed to kind of switch up my nutrition. I needed to switch up my kind of diet. And I think that was the hardest transition for me, because the working out part was easy. So the why behind the eating and the why behind going from a 5x5 or kind of a 3x3 or whatever, singles, doubles, are now we're looking at kind of the higher realms, going from a 12 reps to 30 reps on some movements, sacrificing some of our power and strength to really kind of hit that hypertrophy mark. And so nowadays you see a lot of research and kind of people on YouTube saying that, as long as you hit within these ranges, I think you're good. But really for me, it kind of unlocked kind of my physique to grow. So we're sitting about 205 right now, but we're not 50% body fat. Right, so strength, power's there. So if you've been watching my YouTube channel, we've definitely been kind of on that mark of chasing the 405 bench, right? The big numbers. And so for me, I've never not been scared of weight, but I think when you put those 4 plates on, for me right now, it's very gut wrenching. It makes me very nervous. because you see all of these videos where people drop, so a video the other day, a guy dropped, I think it was like 185 to 225 on his neck. Simple mistakes like that can cause big injuries, and I think that's where we are needing to kind of look at when it comes to safety. So the nutrition part for me is kind of really identifying what each component does. It's not just eating to eat, right? It's eating for a purpose. It's eating to fuel your workouts and not to eating to gain all this body fat. Even though, like, when you come into a bulk, right, to get size, right, you have to push the scale up. But you can do that in a manner that's more sustainable and kind of gradually targeting your weight each month. And so for me right now, if I'm looking at 5 to 8 pounds a month across the next 6 months, I'm really kind of managing that fat gain. And so if you think about it, like kind of like your gas tanks kind of has a capacity, and if you overfill that, that's going to spill over into the ground. It's going to be wasted, right? So that's kind of how our body works. We have a threshold that if we surpass that threshold, then it spills over, and that's where fat's going to be kind of accumulated and be absorbed within your body. So that's the things that we've got to definitely think about. That's going to happen whether you're on PEDS or you're a natty. And I think this mindset, especially the next few years, here we're going to see that our photos are definitely kind of progressing. And it's taken me 6 years to kind of establish this. It's taken me 6 years to kind of make sure that I'm dialing everything in. And one of the things I tell people all the time, my workouts are very boring. My meals are very boring. I eat the same thing for lunch every single day because it works. I really kind of focus in on the gut health to make sure that I work on my digestion. We make sure that we are fueling for the next day. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. For me right now, 32-year-old dad, married, I just don't think it's in the cards. It's not something that I do kind of leisurely. If I'm out socially and I kind of drink, but that's another conversation for another time about how to manage alcohol or limit it as you are kind of chasing your fitness goals. So right now, kind of when we think about the past 2 years, we've kind of locked in on an off season where we have focused on strength and hypertrophy. And throughout the year, we go to 3 different phases. We do a strength hypertrophy, we do a power and strength, and then we do a power and hypertrophy mixture. So kind of looking at really focusing on heavy compound movements between 3 to 5 sets of like 3 to 5 reps, and then hypertrophy would be focused more on cables ranging from 10 reps all the way up to 30 reps. Micro reps, failure sets, top sets, so mixing those all into like a workout concoction that kind of works for me, and staying safe and making sure that we're not getting injured. So that's one of the things that I've kind of pride myself with is injury prevention, especially when it comes to the fatigue to weight ratio. Like if my body's feeling like super wrecked from a few workouts before and kind of strategically placing those throughout the week, then I probably won't go in that day, and I'll kind of push that off for another day because I would rather be recovered and ready to go to the next day and then allowing my ego to get in the way. So kind of how I do that is throughout the week, I'll work out 5 days a week. And so we'll do a push-pull, then we'll do an arms and shoulders, we'll rest Wednesdays. Thursdays we'll do legs, so we'll do a variation between RDLs as well as the pendulum squats, and then we'll come back and do a barbell movement for bench and dumbbell movements for back, and then we'll come back in and do on prior to that, and we'll do squats sprinkled in there in rotation every 2 weeks. So we don't squat every week, we don't bench every week, but really kind of focusing in on our bodies and recovering and how we're feeling across the board. That's the goal, and that's, again, it's not the prettiest, it's not the most glamorous workouts, but at the end of the day, progress is progress no matter how far you go. And I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up in. And so when we think about this, so the past 2 years, based on these 2 photos that I just showed you right here, is looking at the longevity. How long can you push your body while making progress without being injured, without letting your ego get in the way, without other people telling you to switch it up? I think we're oftentimes seeing that if it's not entertaining, if it's not something that that kind of gets the views, then we're probably going to skip it. And so I think that's the thing where people are very wishy-washy when it comes to their workouts. And so, at the end of the day, when we think about the longevity, when we think about you as a person, 3 things have to come in mind. Who am I, right? What are your morals and ethics, right? What do I want to accomplish out of my fitness goals? What do I want to do long term? Whether that is I just want to do day to day. I want to maybe jump into a bodybuilding show. I want to do a powerlifting show. Maybe you want to do a Tough Mudder, maybe you want to do it for career, self-worth, kind of improvement. And then the last thing is kind of like, where do you see this goal and where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? So looking at kind of short-term and long-term goals and kind of setting those up. So it's easy to go work out. It's easy to go make a meal plan. Following through with those is the difficult part. Going in blindly to workouts is the difficult part. Prepping your meals when it's easier to go get KFC and McDonald's, and don't get me wrong, those are some good things. But really being intentional with your meals is definitely it. So with these 3 components, it doesn't matter if you're natty. It doesn't matter if you're on PEDs. It matters to you, and it should matter to your goals of what you want to get out of it. Okay? And so for the last 6 years for me, I've definitely kept it clear that I wanted to be in a bodybuilding show. I wanted to compete at nationals. I wanted to do a powerlifting meet in 2024, 2025. But right now I've got a few things I want to check off first. I became a dad. We just got married. My wife and I just got married 3 years ago. And so there's a lot of things with life. I changed jobs. There's a lot of things in life that just don't stop because you have fitness goals. It doesn't stop because you have to pay bills. And I think that's the moral of the story is 6 years of constantly working, constantly grinding, constantly doing what I think is going to be best for me and my body. And we go from 160-pound power lifter, right, elite in the 164 weight class with Southern Powerlifting Federation, to now sitting at about 205, looking to compete in the national show, Natural Nationals in DC again here in a few years. And we just got to kind of in between. The goal is the same. We want to be able to compete regardless of what we do. And I think that at the end of the day, if we are looking to do just that, it comes down to how hard are you willing to work for it. Are you going to be the type of person that listens to other people? Are you going to be the type of person that's going to make excuses? Are you going to be the type of person that just kind of locks in and does what they're supposed to do no matter what life throws at you? And so kind of not getting too personal, but 2019, lost my mom unexpectedly, and I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show. There's 2 of them that we're getting ready to do, and that's the emotional side of kind of the bodybuilding. Is life doesn't stop because you're on prep. Life doesn't stop because you're a tad bit hungry. Life doesn't stop because you have these goals. You've got to be able to take the punches, roll with it, dust yourself off, get back up, and continue pushing towards those goals. And so for me right now, for 2024, is to do just this. YouTube is definitely one of my goals. To get 200 followers in the next 2 months is one of my goals. To have over 500,000 views on my YouTube channel. And there's going to be a lot of people that say things. There's going to be a lot of people that kind of don't really understand it. And I think right now I'm at the point where I'm getting a few kind of troll accounts starting to comment, and so blocking out that noise. And so kind of moving on from there. So anyways, guys, so questions, concerns, anything like that, feel free to shoot me a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully this video found some value to you and to kind of give you some perspective on whether or not the fitness world's for you. There's a lot of different pathways that you can do, and being able to kind of find what works for you and who you belong with, or kind of what groups that you want to be able to kind of go along the journey with and develop yourself. That's really up to you. Hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.